Hello, I'm Dr. Bond. This is the Bond Report. Today we're going to do BAFA 11, the birth of the BAFA number. I will elucidate. Here we are with Lord Kelvin. If you cannot express your knowledge in numbers, your knowledge is of a meager and unsatisfactory kind. We're trying to make BAFA into a little more of a branch of science, trying to make it a little more quantitative. Here you have your basic academic sweatshop, and while you're sitting in the sweatshop, this is them giving one of their Dark Satanic Mills papers, and they're not listening because there's nothing to listen to. Each person is solely in there for giving their own paper, and then they're going to get out so they can show that they did that. And this could be better expressed in a number. And once again, we got Jackie Childs, master of the English language, preposterous, egregious, outrageous. Well, that's great, Jackie, but let's express that with a number. And so your interesting BAFA number is the audience. It's the ratio of the people that are in the audience as opposed to the ratio of people who are giving a talk in the same session. And the whole point of that is you're not really in there for any other reason than to give your own talk, and you're sort of doing something else rather than listening to the next guy. Like, there's no pretense of learning being made in these things or offering facts. The entire point of the BAFA number, in other words, by the number of people actually giving a talk as opposed to the people in the audience, you want your BAFA number to approach 100%. Nobody's in there to listen to anything. They're in there to give their own deal, and that's the sole and only reason they're in there. No one else would otherwise, because there's no information being exchanged, and these aren't really meant for public consumption. They're meant to be ticked against something, so your guy gets his CV upholstered. What is the actual number? As it approaches 100% and everybody's only there for their own reason, I've certainly been in ones that I'll bet are 100%. Let us propose the concept of the BAFA number as the number of presenters divided by the number of people actually in the audience, and express this as a ratio. In the sweatshop I'm talking about, the BAFA number is routinely about 100%. Absolutely nobody's there to listen. You're basically writing your talk, but deriving your number, there are a lot of, virtually everyone is only there to give their own talk, as we just said, but you're not really listening to anybody else's talk, so it's almost certain, because it's almost certain to be no really usable information. Now, there are people there that are not actually speaking, but are therefore not there to hear the talk so much as to be their friends of the speaker, their workmates of the speaker, their tech people. They're in there for some other reason. They aren't participants, but there they are. They're in there for that time. How do you allow for that in your BAFA number? And the answer for that is John Milton's Paradise Lost. He had the famous quote, "They also serve who only stand and wait." And you can derive a term at another time. You can derive the term for them any way you want of these people that aren't contributing but really aren't there to listen. And I gave pedestrians, drones, bystanders, although very few bystanders really are innocent, standers by, innocent, civilians, non-contributors, incidentals, assorted names we could give. My personal favorite's pedestrian. Robert Benchley wrote a very good talk one time, sometime after the First World War. And he gave the example of looked at closely, of some picture taken of some really chaotic scene where everything's wild, the gunfire's flying, and it's taken at the risk of the life of the photographer himself. No matter how chaotic and wild that scene, if you look closely enough and studiously enough, there's one guy, and in Benchley's guy was probably wearing a derby hat, who's looking at the camera, looking at his newspaper, looking at his watch, has no idea that this chaos is going on around him. And Benchley said the guy had a derby hat. He used the example of the guy assassinating Franz Ferdinand to start the First World War. And as he said that somewhere toward the end of this article he wrote, somewhere he said, "I'll be looking at the camera cluelessly, and I'll probably be wearing a Serbian derby." It's just funny talk, but also has some truth. So this is our idea whose time has come. How do you account for these pedestrians in there when you go to derive your pure BAFA number? And baseball, I thought, might provide a good model. Now, you derive batting averages by just the walks never occurred. You leave it out. For instance, if a guy comes up 5 times, he gets I have to glance, 1 hit, 2 outs, and they walk him twice. Well, he's 1 for 3. You just leave the walks out. They never came, they never did anything. This will give you a little more of a batting average / BAFA number. Now, the baseball statistic got me thinking, there seems to be a lot of potential in scoring BAFA numbers in the baseball model. See, I have seen, I'm thinking of the guy taking a picture out here, you will see senior men take over lectures. I've seen this done. If they think the kid just hadn't got the stuff that night, they'll walk in there, take over that thing, answer questions, do other stuff, put a different guy in there, which would be the next on the program, something analogous to taking a pitcher out. Let me see the ball, I'm going to do it. It's not limited to pitcher manager, hitting statistics, pitching statistics, fielding, base stealing, inside baseball stuff like squeeze plays and sacrifices. It's waiting there to be studied. And the very word analogy, analology, is the asshole, the very essence of the baffle number. You have anal, you have asshole, you have assholeology. They're hitting us over the head with that. Famous Giants, New York Giants pitcher, as in the 50s, that people write about was Sal Magley. And this guy'd throw at your head pretty easily. And he certainly had that reputation. His nickname was the Barber, and his deal was throwing your head. The speaker is trying to recreate the Bob Gibson, Don Drysdale intimidating look where you're trying to do this, you're trying to baff each other, but basically stand on the mound and look at the batter and get this one that's coming right in your ear this time. That's what you want. Now, the batter's trying to make that happen. They're trying to make each other go through the Kubler-Ross stages, all 5 of them. You got denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. There he is. You can have some ball player. There's Kubler at the plate. He swings for strike 1. He denies it. There you're pointing back at the umpire. There's number 1. Ross winds up. Here's the pitch. He's angry about that one. There seems to be. He's getting angry now. These change-ups are really no bargain, are they? You could do that infinitely. I've certainly listened to a few presentations over the years that can really be described as knuckleballs. I mean, nobody knows where they're going. And many of my favorite moments in ophthalmology are from rhubarbs, some very fun ones. This one's Ron Marichal. John Roseborough he was a pitcher for the Giants. John Rosen, he'd been knocking down some Dodgers. John Roseborough was the catcher. And they knocked him down when he came up to bat, and he told Roseborough, evidently, that you knocked me down again, I'm going to come after you. And Roseborough knocked him down again. Called for another beanball, knocked him down again, and Marichal, number 27 there, hit Roseborough with a bat. And they got that one stopped actually fairly quickly. But that's a rhubarb. One sees ophthalmologic pinch hitting, seen a relief pitching, beanball pitchers, fireball pickers, junk pitchers, heckling, base stealing. I mean, you've got it all there. Intentional walks, beanballs, rhubarbs, breaking up double plays with a strike side, occasional triple play. You will see occasional senior men sitting on the bench like Casey here. If anyone's asking for me, tell them I'm being embalmed. A lot of, you'll see this at the grand rounds with the townies. The one example here, this is a grand round situation. You can describe it with baseball statistics. Anything in baseball you account for the grand rounds. Now, the difference there, we probably shouldn't sell beer at grand rounds, because I could picture this happening, and probably you shouldn't issue weapons, baseball bats. Baseball is a sport played with weapons. And here's some situations that would arise in the grand rounds fairly quickly. It's an idea whose time has come. As your BAFA number approaches 100%, and no one's really listening to the paper, and they're all writing their own paper, why not eliminate the middleman? Why have people come out to the meeting and sit there like a pancake getting syrup poured over them? Why not just be able to mail that in and save the trouble, hotel expense, car fare, airfare, all kinds of fares, to sit there and listen to something you're not listening to? Why not just write out your paper and mail it in, and your boss gets his CV upholstery? Why not do that? There is your idea whose time has come. Why not eliminate the expensive, time and space consuming middleman? And so that's my idea. I hope the Academy is listening. Earl Stanley Gardner said this, writing Perry Mason stories. He'd sent the publisher an idea, eliminating the middleman, an idea for a story. They said they liked it, they would accept it, but they wrote it back with some little changes or some editorial comments they'd like to make. Earl wrote them back, and he said, "That's a damn good story. If you have any further comments, write them on the back of a check." So that would be my answer to the Academy. This is my idea, and I only want 10%. Thank you very much. Please subscribe. Please follow Bond Reports. Been a pleasure. Thank you.